Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Professor Hank. So today we're going to talk about variables and assignment statements in Python. We'll talk about what they are, we'll see examples of how to use them, and we'll also talk about the rules for how you can name your variables. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what is a variable? So in a program, a variable is something that has a name. It's a named item. So, for example, we might have a name such as X or num or number of zombies, for example. Now, an assignment statement is a statement that you use to assign a value to a variable. So, variables are responsible for storing some piece of data, and an assignment statement is going to assign it. So, assignment statement assigns a value to a variable. So let's take a look at an example of that. So you might say x equals 5, or you might say num is equal to 21.7, or maybe name equals Hank, or number of zombies equals 0, something like this. Now we want to keep in mind and we want to remember that equals and equals are not the same thing. So it's a common mistake. People will sometimes say x equals 5 as if it was testing for equality. So like in your math classes or something like that, you say x equals 5. Is that true or is that false? That's not what this means. This means assign 5 to x is what that means. Now let's talk about what an identifier is. An identifier is just something that you can name, or it's a name for something. Identifier is just a name for something. And in our example up here, X is the identifier for that variable that's holding 5. Num is an identifier. Name is an identifier. So you can, variables have identifiers, functions have identifiers, classes have identifiers. And so we have rules for identifiers. So what are those rules? Okay, so a couple of things. So number one, case sensitive. So what does that mean? That means that uppercase hello is not the same thing as lowercase hello. So those are different. Rule number two, you're allowed to use the digits 0 through 9 and the characters lowercase a through z, uppercase a through z, and you can use an underscore. Another rule is that you can't use reserved words, right? So there are these things in programming languages called reserved words or keywords, and those are words that have special meaning within the language. So you can't use, for example, and or if or while or for, because those are all words that have a special meaning within the language. So you can't use those to name your variables or your functions, for example. So one more thing is that your identifiers can't start with those digits, can't start with 0 through 9. So let's take a look at some examples of identifiers here that are kosher. So for example, underscore X, that's a good one. That's acceptable. It's legal, I should say. As we saw above, num, that's totally legal. Num of zombies is legal. But what's not legal, right, this is not legal, is something that starts off with, say, 9 lives. That's not a legal identifier because you can't start a name with a digit. Something like this is not legal. So did dot he dot do dot it exclamation point, not legal, because question mark and periods are not allowed in names. Something else that's not legal would be something like dog exclamation point or exclamation point cat, because exclamation point's not part of the allowed characters that you can use. Now, you want to use good descriptive names too. So use good descriptive names or identifiers, right? So, for example, num of zombies. That's good. That is better than do that. Don't just do n, right? Do Number of zombies, not N. Number of zombies, definitely better. Or do tax rate. That's definitely better than doing just, say, T. Do something like gender. Don't just do G or Y, right? Male, not just M. So descriptive variable names are good. And so in Python, typically what you have is you have snake case, where you spell everything using lowercase. So for example, num, and then you separate words with these underscores, right? So num of shoppers, say, right? So that's better than doing num of shoppers or num shoppers because it's easier to read and it's descriptive, right? Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. So in this video, what did we talk about? We talked about variables, we talked about assignment statements, and we talked about identifiers. We talked about what they are, and we saw examples of what are some good identifiers and what are some bad identifiers. As usual, if you're a student of mine, you have questions about any of the content in this video or any of the other videos in our courses, feel free to email me via Canvas or stop by my online Zoom office hours. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.